Today on the Deep Dive, we're really getting into something that can genuinely transform relationships.
Yeah, it's a big one.
We're diving into nonviolent communication, or NVC. It's this powerful framework. Really offers a radically different way to connect with people. So our mission for this deep dive, basically, is to unpack the core ideas, the principles, and how you actually use it, like a shortcut to understanding this method.
It really is a kind of blueprint for human connection. And it's not just about talking more, but really getting to the essence of, well, what drives us?
Right. And most people probably think they're already pretty good communicators.
Well, yeah, because we talk constantly, right? All day long.
That's the classic trap, isn't it? We mistake just talking a lot for actually communicating effectively. I mean, think about your last argument. Did it feel kind of like emotional ping pong? Just, back and forth with interpretations, reactions, getting defensive?
Oh, definitely. You start arguing about, I don't know, who left the dishes out. When the real issue is something much, much deeper, usually.
Exactly. And research actually confirms this, doesn't it? It's not about communicating more.
No, it's about communicating differently. And NVC gives us a structure to do exactly that.
It's not just for, like, couples therapy or something.
Not at all. And before you kind of dismiss it as maybe too touchy-feely, you should know NVC's effectiveness is proven. It spans corporate boardrooms, international peace talks, and, of course, countless families. It's like a universal language for connection. It really works.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Let's dive into these four components, the connection code, as you called it.
Right. So Marshall Rosenberg, who developed NVC, his framework, its beauty is really in its simplicity. There are just four steps, four distinct but really powerful steps.
Okay.
Let's make this real. Let's use a scenario, something I think a lot of us can probably relate to.
Okay, hit me with it.
All right. Imagine this. You're wiped out, long day. You walk into your house, and there's your partner just scrolling on their phone, while this pile of dirty dishes from breakfast is still sitting right there in the sink.
Oh, I know this scene. Your first instinct might be, like, seriously, you're so lazy. You never help around here. Something like that.
Exactly. That's the typical reactive response. And that's what we want to transform with NVC.
So what's the first step?
Step one is observation without evaluation. This means you state only what you can actually observe with your senses. Pure data, no judgment, no interpretation mixed in.
So instead of "you're so lazy,"
Yeah.
what would that sound like?
It becomes something like, I noticed there are dishes in the sink from breakfast this morning. Just the facts.
I notice. That sounds simple, but wow, that's actually really hard, isn't it? Because our brains are they're meaning-making machines.
They really are. We instantly jump to conclusions. We create these stories about what we see. So this step, it demands real conscious effort. You have to strip away that narrative and just report what you saw or heard.
Okay, observation without evaluation. Got it. What's next?
That leads us right into step two. Expressing feelings, but, and this is key, without thoughts disguised as feelings.
Ah, okay. What's the difference there?
Well, a thought disguised as a feeling often sounds like, I feel like you, or I feel that you, for example, I feel like you don't care. See how that's actually an interpretation about them?
Right. It's blaming them, basically.
Exactly. An actual feeling, your genuine emotional state would be something like, I'm feeling overwhelmed or I'm feeling frustrated. It's about your internal experience.
Okay, I'm feeling overwhelmed and frustrated. That feels different. More vulnerable, maybe?
It is. And when you actually name your raw emotion like that, something almost magical happens.
How so?
Well, feelings are universal. Everyone understands frustration or overwhelm or sadness or joy. It bypasses the listener's sort of logical defenses and taps right into shared human experience.
Ah, so instead of making them defensive, it creates a potential connection point.
Precisely. It disarms the conflict before it even starts sometimes. Because who can argue with you feeling frustrated? They might not like it, but they can't deny your feeling.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, so we observe, then we state our feeling. Where do we go from there, digging deeper?
Exactly. That brings us to what many find the most transformative step. Step three, identifying your needs.
Needs, okay.
Most arguments, if you really boil them down, they stem from unmet universal human needs. Things we all need, like partnership, respect, understanding, autonomy, connection. The list goes on.
So in our dishes example, the person feeling overwhelmed, what's their need?
Well, the underlying need might be something like, I need partnership in maintaining our home. Or maybe I need to feel like we're a team. Or even just, I need some rest and support.
And stating the need. Why is that so powerful?
Because it's really, really hard for someone to argue with your need. How can they say, no, you don't need partnership? It sounds absurd, right?
Yeah, totally. Whereas if you say, you never help, they'll instantly defend themselves. Yes, I do. I did X and Y.
Exactly. It completely reframes the problem away from blame and towards this fundamental shared human reality of needs.
Observation, feeling, need. What's the last piece?
Step 4, making a specific, doable request, not a demand.
Okay, specific and doable, and not a demand. What's the difference?
A true request is concrete, it's actionable, something someone can actually do, and crucially, it leaves the other person genuinely free to say yes or no without punishment or guilt if they say no.
So not, you need to help more around here.
Right, that's vague and demanding. A specific request might be, would you be willing to do the dishes tonight while I handle the laundry? See how clear that is?
Yeah, and the willing part implies they have a choice.
Exactly. It respects their autonomy.
Okay, let's put it all together then. The full NVC statement for our dishes scenario. Walk me through it.
Okay, so pulling all 4 steps together, it might sound something like this. When I see the dishes in the sink from this morning, observation, I feel overwhelmed and frustrated, feeling, because I have a need for partnership in keeping our home comfortable. Need. Would you be willing to do these dishes now while I start dinner?
Wow.
Request.
Wow. Okay, hearing it all laid out like that, just night and day, isn't it?
Huge difference, right?
Yeah. There's no blame, no calling names, no mind reading about their intentions.
Kind of that. Just observation, feeling, need, and a clear, respectful request. That's the connection code in action.
So, okay, that sounds great in theory, but, real life gets messy.
It does.
What happens when you try this and the other person? Well, they just aren't receptive. They still get defensive, or they just say no.
That's a really important question. And first, remember, NVC is about honest expression and seeking connection. It's not a tool for manipulation. You can't make someone react the way you want. So sometimes the answer to your request will be no. And NVC actually prepares you for that. It's okay. Your job, so to speak, is to stay in your integrity. Meaning you continue to express your observations, feelings, needs, and requests honestly and clearly without resorting to blame or demands, even if they don't reciprocate immediately. You can't control their reaction, but you can control how you show up.
Okay, so you stick with it. But what if they do react defensively? Even if you're trying to be vulnerable?
That's where the other side of NVC comes in, which is just as important. Empathic listening.
Listening for their stuff.
Exactly. When someone else is upset or defensive, instead of reacting back, you try to listen for the feelings and needs underneath their words, even if their words are attacking or blaming.
How would you do that? Like in the dishes example, if the partner snaps back, stop nagging me.
Instead of snapping back, you might pause, take a breath, and try to guess what they're feeling and needing. Maybe something like, okay, sounds like you're feeling maybe criticized right now, and you need some understanding for how your day went too. Is that kind of it?
So you're guessing their feelings and needs.
Right. You're offering empathy. You're trying to understand their world even when they're upset.
And that probably changes the whole dynamic, doesn't it?
It absolutely can. When someone feels genuinely heard and understood, especially when they're upset, it can just rewire the conversation. Their defensiveness often just melts away because they feel seen. It's incredibly powerful.
Okay, so NVC is both expressing yourself and listening empathically. What are some common mistakes people have when they're trying to learn this?
Oh, there are a few classic ones. One is sneaking judgments back into the observation.
Like what?
Like saying, when you ignore me. That's an interpretation, right? The actual observation might be, when you continued reading your book while I was talking. See the difference?
Yeah, one's a behavior, the other's assigning intent. Very tricky.
Very tricky. Another one is using those fake feelings we talked about.
The I feel like you ones.
Exactly. I feel like you don't listen to me. That's still a thought about the other person. A real feeling is about your internal state. I feel hurt, or I feel disconnected, or I feel lonely.
Got it. Focus on the actual emotion inside you. Any others?
The big one is the demand disguised as a request.
Ah, right. How can you tell the difference?
Ask yourself, am I genuinely willing to hear no to this request? If the answer is actually no, if there will be consequences or resentment if they decline, then it's probably a demand, not a true request. And demands tend to breed resistance, not cooperation.
Okay, that's a good check. Let's try quick role play. Maybe about being late. That's a common one.
Sure.
Okay, so you're my partner. You're late for dinner again. My old way might be exasperated. I can't believe you're late again. Seriously, you obviously don't care about the effort I put in or about our time together.
Okay, and my old defensive reply might be, what? I got stuck in traffic. It wasn't my fault. Why are you always so dramatic about everything? Fight ensued.
Right. Okay, now let's rewind. I'm still upset, but you use NVC empathy? So I say the same thing. I can't believe you're late again.
Okay, so instead of defending, I'd take a breath and try empathy. Wow, okay. It sounds like you're feeling really hurt and disappointed right now.
Yeah, man.
Maybe because you need reliability and you need to know that our time together really matters to me. Is that kind of what's going on?
Tone softens.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. I made this nice dinner. I was looking forward to it, you know. And when you're late like this, it feels like it doesn't matter that much to you.
Calmly. Okay. I hear that. I can understand you wanting to feel valued and like prioritized. That makes sense. Would it help if maybe we talked about how we can handle things better when I know I'm running late?
See, hearing you try to understand why I'm upset, instead of just defending yourself,
Yeah.
it completely shifted the energy. Now we're actually moving towards talking about the real issue, the need for reliability, for feeling valued, instead of just fighting about traffic.
And notice, I didn't even explain why I was late yet. The priority was connection, understanding your experience first. The explanation can come later, once the connection is reestablished.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So this NVC approach, it's obviously powerful in romantic relationships, but you mentioned it's used much more broadly.
Oh, absolutely. The applications are incredibly wide. Think about parents and teenagers.
Oh yeah, prime territory for conflict.
Definitely. I worked with a client actually who was really struggling with her teenage daughter. Every conversation just blew up into a battle. Using NVC, she started realizing her daughter's angry outbursts weren't just disrespect.
What were they?
Often they were clumsy attempts to express unmet needs for things like autonomy or respect or just being understood.
So how did NVC help change the conversation?
Well, instead of reacting to the yelling with, don't you talk to me like that, my client learned to say something like, okay, when you raise your voice like that, I feel hurt and a bit scared because I really need to know we can disagree and still care about each other. Can we find a way to talk about this that works for both of us?
Wow. That acknowledges the behavior, shares her feeling and need, and invites collaboration.
Exactly. And it completely transformed their dynamic. They went from constant fighting to actually being able to have real, sometimes difficult, but ultimately connecting conversations. It works in the workplace, too, shifting teams from maybe passive-aggressive stuff to more direct, compassionate communication.
Okay, but what if? What if you're the only one trying? You're doing the NVC thing, but the other person, your boss or your family member, they're just not playing ball.
That's a common concern, and it's valid. But the key thing to remember is NVC isn't primarily about getting the other person to change their behavior.
It's not. What is it about then?
It's fundamentally about you showing up differently. More authentically, more empathically, with more clarity about your own experience.
So changing yourself first.
Yes. And what often happens is when you consistently show up in that different way, it naturally starts to shift the dynamic in the relationship anyway.
Like your calm invites their calm.
Sometimes, yeah, or your clarity helps them understand you better, reducing misunderstandings. But even if they don't change immediately, you change. You stop taking things so personally. You don't get hooked into escalating conflicts as easily. You express yourself more effectively.
And that alone probably reduces a lot of stress.
A huge amount.
Yeah.
Which brings us to sort of the deeper psychology. Like, why does this stuff actually work so well?
Yeah, what's happening on a maybe neurological level?
Well, it's fascinating. When someone feels truly heard and understood, like when you offer that empathic guess about their feelings and needs, it literally helps calm their nervous system. Yeah. It helps quiet down the amygdala, the brain's sort of threat detector that triggers fight or flight. When that calms down, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for reasoning, empathy, problem solving, can come back online.
So you're basically helping their brain shift out of defense mode and into connection mode.
That's a great way to put it. And similarly, when you express yourself vulnerably, sharing your actual feelings and needs, not judgments, you're inviting connection instead of triggering their defenses.
You mentioned finding shared needs.
Right. Often, when you dig down to the level of needs, you find they aren't as incompatible as the initial argument suggested.
Like the example you gave, one person needs connection through talking, the other through activity.
Exactly. Their strategies are different, maybe even conflicting. But the underlying need for connection is actually shared. Recognizing that shared need opens up possibilities for creative solutions that can meet both people's needs. Just maybe in different ways than they first thought.
Okay, this is all incredibly valuable stuff. Let's give our listeners some really practical homework. Like, what can they do today to start practicing this?
Absolutely. Start small and start with yourself. The first step is just self-observation.
How so?
Just begin noticing the difference in your own thinking between actual observations and your interpretations or judgments. When you catch yourself thinking they're being so inconsiderate, pause and ask, what did I actually observe?
Wow.
What was the specific behavior? Just noticing that difference is huge.
Okay, that sounds doable. What else?
Practice identifying your feelings throughout the day. Most of us have a pretty limited emotional vocabulary: good, bad, angry, happy, sad.
Right.
Try to get more specific. Are you feeling disappointed, resentful, anxious, hopeful, excited? The more precise you are, the better you can understand and communicate your inner world.
Are there resources for that? Like a list of feelings?
Yes, there are fantastic feelings and needs lists available free online. Just search NVC Feelings Needs List. Download one, keep it on your phone. When you're feeling something strong, glance at the list. It helps you pinpoint, that's it, I'm feeling vulnerable, or I'm feeling misunderstood.
Great tip. And what about the requests?
Practice making specific, doable requests instead of vague complaints. So instead of, you never listen, try, would you be willing to put your phone down for 5 minutes so we can talk about this? It's a concrete action.
Much more likely to get a positive response too, I bet.
Way more likely. And for people in relationships, maybe try a daily check-in.
Like a mini NVC session.
Yeah, just 5 minutes. Each person shares maybe one observation, feeling, need, and maybe a request from their day. It's incredibly powerful for just keeping connection alive and preventing small things from building up.
I love that. But what about those really heated moments when you're like seeing red? How do you even begin to apply NVC then?
That's crucial. And the first job, always, is self-regulation. You simply cannot do NVC effectively if you're totally flooded, in full fight or flight.
So calm down first.
Yes. I often teach the S-stop-E technique. It's simple. Stop, just pause, take a breath, a deep one. Observe what's happening inside you: racing heart, tense shoulders, the thoughts swirling. Just notice. And then proceed with more consciousness.
So S-stop-E, stop, take a breath, observe, proceed.
Exactly. And sometimes proceed might just mean saying, you know what? I'm too upset to talk about this constructively right now. I need a few minutes. Can we come back to this in, say, half an hour?
Taking a break is okay.
Absolutely. It's often the most compassionate thing you can do. And when you do re-engage, you can even use NVC to do it.
Wow.
You could say something vulnerable like, okay, I notice my heart is still beating pretty fast from our conversation earlier. I'm feeling a bit scared because I really need to know that we can work through disagreements without, damaging our connection. Would you be willing to try talking about it again, maybe more slowly?
That sounds incredibly connecting. Which brings up another point, boundaries. Some
Okay.
people might think NVC sounds passive, like you just let people walk over you.
Not at all. That's a common misconception. NVC is actually a very powerful tool for setting clear, strong boundaries, but doing it compassionately.
Okay, how does a boundary sound in NVC terms?
It often follows the same structure: observation, feeling, need, and then stating the boundary as a limit or an action you will take. For example, when you yell at me, observation, I feel unsafe and really shaken. Feeling, because I need respect in our conversations. Need. So I'm going to leave the room now, and I'm willing to talk again when we can both speak calmly. Boundary action.
Wow, that's clear, non-blaming, but very firm.
Exactly. Or in a work setting. I hear that you need help getting this report done by Friday, acknowledging their possible need, and I'm feeling stressed because I need to focus on meeting my own prior commitments. Feeling a need. So I'm not available to take on that task right now. Boundary. Would you like me to help brainstorm who else might be able to assist? Offering alternative connection support.
That feels so much better than just a flat, no, I'm busy. It acknowledges them while honoring your own capacity.
Right. It maintains the connection while upholding the boundary.
Okay, I can imagine some listeners still thinking, this all sounds a bit scripted, a bit artificial, especially when you're first learning it.
Totally understandable. And yes, it can feel awkward at first. Think about learning any new skill, driving a car, playing the piano. It feels clunky and mechanical until the movements become more natural.
So it gets better with practice.
Absolutely. The goal isn't to sound like you're reading from a script forever. It's to internalize the consciousness behind it, to train your brain to automatically separate observation from interpretation, to get curious about feelings and needs, your own and others, and to make clear requests instead of demands. Over time, it just becomes how you think and communicate.
And does this translate across cultures? Or does it need adaptation?
That's a great question. The core principles, the universality of feelings and needs, seem to hold true across cultures. However, the expression might need adaptation. Well, in some cultures, very direct emotional expression might be less common or comfortable, so the emphasis might shift more towards clearly articulating the underlying need as the primary way to connect, maybe using feeling words more sparingly or indirectly. It's about adapting the form while keeping the essence.
Which is that genuine curiosity and authentic expression.
Exactly.
Let's talk about some transformations. You must have seen some powerful shifts using this.
Oh, definitely. I worked with this couple who were stuck in that classic pursuer-distancer dynamic. One person pushes for connection during conflict, the other withdraws.
Yeah, very painful.
Very. The wife pursued, the husband shut down. When she learned NVC, instead of criticizing his withdrawal, "You always shut down, you don't care," she started expressing her need.
What did that sound like?
Something like, "Honey, when we stop talking during an argument and you get quiet observation, I feel really disconnected and scared feeling because I have a deep need to know that we can work through problems together, that we're a team need. Would you be willing to just let me know if you need a break and maybe give me a time frame for when you might be ready to talk again?" Request.
Wow. How did he respond to that?
It completely changed things. He said hearing her need for connection instead of criticism allowed him to finally articulate his need, which was, he said, "I get overwhelmed when emotions get really high and I need some time to process internally before I can talk constructively, but I do want to work things out. Can we maybe agree that I'll let you know I need space and I promise I'll come back to talk, usually within an hour or two."
So they found a system that worked for both of them, honoring her need for connection and eventual resolution, and his need for space to process.
Exactly. 6 months later, those huge blow-ups were incredibly rare because they had a way to navigate those moments that respected both their needs. It saved their relationship, honestly.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Do you have one that stands out?
One that always gives me chills involved a mother and her adult son. They'd been estranged for 3 years after a big fight about his career choices.
Oh, wow. Tough situation.
Yeah. She'd been sending these emails that were, frankly, full of guilt and subtle demands, which just pushed him further away. When we worked together, she decided to try crafting a message using NVC principles.
That must have felt risky for her.
Hugely risky, but she started by guessing his likely experience. Something like, "I've been thinking about our last conversation 3 years ago. I imagine you might have felt really judged and maybe controlled when I shared my worries about your path. And you probably really needed support and trust from me, from your family. I'm just wondering if that's close to what happened for you."
Starting with empathy for him. Powerful.
Then she shared her experience vulnerably. "Looking back, I can see I was feeling really scared about your future and your well-being because my need is just to know you're okay. But I also see now that the way I expressed that fear probably didn't feel supportive at all. I really regret that. I miss having you in my life, and I'm wondering if there might be a time you'd be open to talking."
Oh my goodness. What happened?
He called her that same day.
Wow.
They had their first real, albeit tentative, conversation in 3 years. It wasn't instantly fixed, but it cracked the door open. It showed the power of really trying to understand the other person's world, taking responsibility for your impact, and expressing your own vulnerability without blame.
Those stories really highlight how NVC can work, even if only one person is consciously using it, don't they?
Absolutely. You don't need the other person's buy-in to start showing up differently yourself. And often that's enough to change the pants.
Now, quick question about the modern world. How does this apply to, like, texting, email, social media, where all the nuance gets lost?
Oh, that's such a challenge because you lose tone, body language, everything. The potential for misinterpretation is huge.
So what do you recommend?
Extra caution. If you get a text or email that triggers you, pause. Like, really pause before firing back. Ask yourself, okay, what might they actually be feeling or needing underneath these words, even if they sound harsh? Try to guess with empathy before you assume negative intent.
Assume positive intent, maybe.
That's a great principle. And honestly, for really important or potentially conflictual conversations, pick up the phone or do a video call. Prioritize richer communication channels whenever possible.
But the basic NVC principles still apply even in writing.
Definitely. Be specific in your observations when I read the email saying X. Own your feelings. I felt confused, concerned, surprised. State your need. I need clarity on this. Make a doable request. Could we hop on a quick call tomorrow to discuss? It still works.
Okay. As we start to wrap up this deep dive, let's think about the ripple effects. How has learning and using NVC changed you personally?
Oh, profoundly. It's changed how I even think about conflict. I used to see disagreements as, problems to be solved, maybe even battles to be won.
And now?
Now, honestly, I see them more as opportunities. Opportunities for deeper connection, for better understanding. When someone disagrees or gets upset, my first instinct now isn't defense, it's curiosity. Like, what's going on for them? What are they feeling? What need isn't being met right now?
That's a massive internal shift.
It really is. How about for you?
For me, it's brought so much more self-awareness. I catch myself constantly now making judgments, interpreting motives, and I can pause and ask those NVC questions internally. Okay, what did I actually observe? What am I feeling underneath this annoyance? What do I really need right now? It's like this internal compass. It's just incredibly freeing.
And that self-connection, it makes you a better communicator externally too, right? A better parent, partner, friend, colleague.
Totally. When you approach people with that genuine curiosity and empathy you talked about, they feel it, they relax, the whole interaction feels different.
Yeah, there's something so liberating in knowing you can accept people as they are, flaws and all, while still being able to clearly and compassionately ask for what you need.
You really can have boundaries and compassion at the same time. You can disagree strongly with someone and still hold care for them.
That's the heart of it, I think. So for everyone listening, as you start experimenting with these ideas, please be patient with yourself. It's a practice, not perfection.
Right. The goal isn't to get it right every time.
Not at all. The goal is connection, understanding, authenticity, progress, not perfection.
And maybe we can leave you with a final thought to chew on. How much of your own daily stress, maybe your frustration or resentment, actually stems from needs that haven't been expressed or intentions that have just been misunderstood?
And how might learning this language of NVC offer a path, not just to resolve the conflicts you already have, but to build connections where you truly thrive?
Maybe take a moment this week, just ponder. How might clarifying even one unmet need, maybe for appreciation or support or understanding, how might that shift one important relationship for you?
What might change if you approach just one challenging conversation differently, leading with observation, feeling, need, and request? It's worth exploring.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for this incredibly insightful deep dive.
Thank you. It's always energizing to talk about this.
And thank you all for joining us on the deep dive. Keep connecting.